Hey everybody, welcome back to Murphy's Law Outdoors. This is David. How you doing? Like I said in the last video, we were talking about this one today. So, what is this? The elusive 28 gauge. I'm covering the prices. I don't know why. It was regular 20 bucks on sale for 15 bucks. Whatever. Anyway, 28 gauge. That's what we're talking about. So, 28 gauge. You might hear a lot of people, you might tell somebody, talking in a conversation, bring up a 28 gauge. People who have hunted their whole lives, they might say, what in the world is a 28 gauge? Or they might say they thought it was just a myth, or they thought that it was something that was built way back in the Gap, and they quit coming out, they quit making. It exists, all right? So, a 28 gauge. Another thing people say is, oh, that's like just a little bit bigger than a 410, right? It's significantly bigger than a 410. It is much closer to a 20 gauge than it is a 410. So we're gonna pop open and get a little side-by-side comparison of each one. All right. So this is a 12 gauge, just a little target round. 20 gauge, little side by side. Oops, I could drop them like that too. I could do everything. All right, you can see, 12 to 20. All right, the difference in them. Okay, we add a 28 next to it. All right, again, a little smaller, right? Let me do it this way. Let's get rid of the 12 gauge. We all know what it looks like. Then again, a little smaller, right, as the 28 gauge than the 20 gauge. And then the last one is the 410. All right, I mean, you can tell this is significantly smaller, like a world apart, right? Not even the same ballpark. So 410 is significantly smaller than a 28 gauge. So the 28 gauge. Some people, like I said, say that it doesn't exist. Some people say, that was something that was made once upon a time, but doesn't have, people don't use it anymore. Whatever the case might be, they never heard of it. It does exist. It's a real thing. It's gotten pretty popular here the past few years. Popular enough for companies like Mossberg to make 28 gauge shotguns. All right, so this is a gun that Mossberg imports from Turkey. It is the SA-28. It is made by a company, Armsan, and it says so right there, Armsan, all right, in the country of Turkey. Now, you might be thinking, David, why in the world are you fooling with a Turkish shotgun? This shotgun here is amazing, okay? I always wanted a 28 gauge, did some research on them, this and that, read some articles, watched some videos of guys that really went into detail about this gun, and the Armsan, and the guns they made and the quality they went through, so on and so forth, whatever. And I decided to get one. All right, it's a beautiful little gun. Comes in a hard case, with guns, with socks, 2-piece socks. Comes with, I think, 5 chokes. It's an amazing little gun. All right, so if you're in the market for 28 gauge, I highly recommend this, especially if you're looking for an entry-level 28 gauge. I highly recommend this gun, Mossberg SA-28, made by Armsan. You might see TriStar, built in the same factory, made by Armsan. You might see Hatfield, built in the same factory. All right, you might see, the Weatherby. I think the Weatherby might be made by ATA or something like that, not Armsan, but I'm sure they're down the street, right? Okay, so this gun right here, I want to say it was around $500 is what they go for. So If you're looking for a 28 gauge entry level that won't cost an arm and a leg, but just awesome to shoot, fun to shoot, I can't speak high enough for this Mossberg. Okay, this is I've been astounded by this gun. This is the quality outlasts the price for sure. Okay, you could put $1,000 price tag on this gun and it would be worth it. All right, if you're a person that would spend $1,000 on a shotgun and you spend $1,000 on this, it would be worth it. I'll just be honest with you. This gun has probably 2,000-3,000 rounds through it. You know, probably close to 3,000 rounds through it. Not a single hang up, not a single failed ejection, not a single failed feed, nothing. It's been awesome. And something else you might not know about the 28 gauge. Thing packs a punch, alright? So, 28 gauge versus a 20 gauge. There's not much difference, alright? So, alright, these are some 20 gauge target rounds that we saw in the last video. These are 2 3/4 inch, 7/8 ounce, 7.5 shot. These are 1,200 feet a second. Clays, doves, quails, whatever. This right here worked fine. Squirrel possibly, if you wanted to bring it squirrel hunting. Down here in South Louisiana, we do have some big fat red squirrels. We need to pack a little bit more of a punch in 7/8 ounce and 1,200 feet a second. And we need a little bigger shot than 7.5. But anyway, dove, quail, clays, all the stuff that's in the picture right here. Just make it easy, okay? This is 28 gauge. So 2 3/4 inch, right? 1,205 feet per second. So this right here is actually moving faster than this target load. This is a 1 ounce load, so there's more pellets moving faster in this 28 gauge load than there is here. Alright, and this is a number 6 shot, so I guess really there's less pellets. But if this was a 7.5 as well, 1 ounce of 7.5 shot, it would be more pellets in this little 28 gauge casing that you saw, that's only slightly smaller than the 20 gauge, moving a little faster. Okay, so this little thing does pack a punch. It will drop those squirrels from the tallest tree. That dove flies over way up there, it will drop him. Alright, and I've seen it happen, I've done it. It's awesome. I have, for certain things, I don't bring out the 12 gauge anymore. You know, if you see me in the squirrel woods, I'm sure come October, November, whatever, we'll be out there squirrel hunting. You're not gonna see me carrying a 12 gauge. We'll be carrying a 28. All right, just about every time. These are some shells I got for squirrel hunting because of those big red squirrels. Got some number 6 shot. Okay. Now, they do make other shells for this. All right, so these 1 ounce 28 gauge loads that are on the heavy side. That's what you're going to, the most you're going to get is 1 ounce loads. All right, typically what you'll see is 3/4 ounce loads, like what we got right here. All right, so this is come dove season. Because of Hurricane Laura, I can't hunt until Monday, Labor Day. But come dove season, this is what we got right here. 3/4 ounce, number 8 shot. All right. Now these are only 1,200 feet a second. I think I'm gonna like that though. We'll see. It's gonna be a test run. If not, I'll use them for clays, whatever, they'll get used. All right, so 3/4 ounce, number 8 shot, 1,200 feet a second. 3/4 ounce is typically what you'll see for a 28 gauge. So yes, it's less BBs, less pellets, less shot per casing than a 20 gauge, but it's still going to pack a punch. All right, these are some other ones I have, also by Fiocchi. These are high velocity. These, if you can see, are 1,300 feet a second, some number 6s. So These are moving 100 feet a second faster than those other ones. Number 6 shot, so a bigger BB than the other ones. But still 3/4 of an ounce. 3/4 ounce is plenty. Clays, birds. This is where we're hanging out at. I will probably use this as well for squirrels once I run out of these. Okay, I would imagine the extra 1/4 ounce of a load won't make much of a difference on a squirrel. If I notice that it does, we're gonna definitely go back to this. Okay, because this just flat out knocks them down. All right, so the 28 gauge, something. The first time I took it out was to shoot clays. You hit a clay and the thing just, dust, right? They call it dusting the clay. Just dusted it. Brought it dove hunting. I'm talking about just wreck a dove. So why, I'm thinking to myself, why is this thing acting like it hits harder than a 12 and 20 gauge? After further testing and research, I've learned that the shot string, okay, so the shot string is the distance, I guess, from the first to the last pellet when you shoot. Okay, the shot string in a 28 gauge is much smaller. It's much shorter than it is for 12 or 20 gauge. 28 gauge is much smaller, and so you have all those pellets on impact. You have more pellets on impact all at the same time. So that made sense. It's okay, so that would make sense why it would act as though it hits harder. So, and that's 100% true. I've since read many articles that said the same thing. Shorter shot string, heavier impact, because you got more BBs hitting at the same time. Also, with the 28 gauge, I've tried full choke. Like I said, it comes with 5 chokes. I've tried them all, pattern them on a piece of paper, and I hang out with the improved modified, or is it modified? Stand by. We're empty, right? This is a full choke. I'm sorry. So this is a full choke. Now before it goes bird hunting, it'll either be improved modified or modified. So evidently that was still in there from squirrel season, and evidently I've been shooting clays with a full choke this whole time, so that's great. So before that goes bird hunting, we'll stick a modified back into it. But what I was saying, so the pattern from what I've found with this gun and its chokes particularly is you have a tighter pattern than you think you would. All right, so my full choke pattern is a little tighter than it would be with a full choke on any of my 20 gauge or even 12 gauges that I have. It's condensed even more, and even so with modified and so on and so forth. So bird hunting clays, usually a modified goes in here, or improved modified maybe. The full stays in there for squirrel season. Squirrels and rabbits, they get a full choke because I want more pellets on that target, because those big red squirrels, they can take a beating and keep on running. But full choke, number 6 shot, lays them down from the tallest tree. So anyway, shorter shot string, more pellets on impact. This gun chokes shoot tighter than normal, so I keep a full choke for squirrels, rabbits, whatever, modified for doves, clays, whatever else. Alright, so the 28 gauge, people also say, well, you would have to be within a certain distance. Let me tell you that's incorrect. There are plenty of guys out there that shoot clays, 27-yard trap, whatever, with a 28 gauge. They do just fine. All right, where a lot of guys are using a 12 gauge to do that same trap set, they're doing it with a 28 gauge. I have seen just shooting clays 35, letting them get out to 35, 40 yards. It still busts them. Doves, I've made some 4 shots with doves on this. I've dropped squirrels out of some tall oak trees down here in South Louisiana. I cannot wait for teal season, which is in about a week and a half from now. Yes, a week and a half from now. To try the 20 gauge on some teal. This is some bismuth rounds that I picked up. If you can see that, 28 gauge, 2 3/4, 7/8 of an ounce. All right, it's a little heavier. It's bismuth. It's number 6s. Non-toxic. You can use it duck hunting. I can't wait to see what those bismuth rounds do to a teal here in another week and a half. I'm looking forward to it. The old 28 gauge is going to have some action. And this coming week for dove season is going to have some action again. I can't wait to use the 28 gauge on some doves this weekend. It's awesome. All right, I've dove hunted with it last year, the year before that. Very effective. Bust those doves. It is a real thing. 28 gauge is a real thing. As a matter of fact, like I said, for ducks, for teal season, it's going down. I may possibly even try to take it out during big duck season. I don't know. What I don't want to happen is get myself in a bind, try to do something I can't, and end up wounding a bird. I don't want to do that. But I can tell you it's been very effective on doves, squirrels, rabbits, clays. So we're going to give it a shot during teal season. Probably going to bring the 20 gauge, or Gina's going to be with me during teal season, so we'll probably bring the 12 gauge along, just in case birds are staying far, this, that, whatever. I don't feel comfortable with it. We'll stick with the 12 gauge, but I want to shoot this 28. Want to shoot 28 gauge with bismuth at teal in another week and a half come teal season. I told you in the last video that we went on a pheasant and quail hunt. I wanted so badly to take this, but I talked myself out of it. And then I got there, and the first few pheasant got up, and then I kicked myself for not taking it. Don't be scared to shoot a pheasant with 28 gauge. A lot of people do it. There's a big, fan base. More guns are coming out. Like I said, if it wasn't a popular shotgun, Mossberg wouldn't be importing it. All these companies that go through the extra time and money to come out with a sub $600 shotgun just for the average Joe like me and you to be able to get. They do it for a reason. They're great guns. I can't talk enough about, like I said, about this one. But we got a present. Because my wife is awesome, we got a present. Ooh. This is what's going to see the dove field this weekend. This is a Benelli Legacy 28 gauge. I haven't shot it yet. Just got it. I cannot wait to see what this thing does. I would imagine after all the awesome success I've had with the Mossberg, I really hope the Benelli's just as good. I would have, this is me being serious right now. If the Benelli is just as good as the Mossberg, I will be very, very happy. Okay? Again, a few thousand rounds, no hiccups. It's worked great. I can't say enough good things about it. I really hope this teaches me good as well. It's very light. One obviously noticeable difference is it's prettier. I mean, it's a Benelli, right? But it's probably a solid pound, maybe even a little more than a pound lighter than this gun, than the Mossberg. Like we talked about the Benelli guns in the last video, Benelli Super Black Eagle 2, 3, and the M2 have the raised ribs. The legacy guns, like the Montefeltros, or the legacy guns are like the Montefeltros that do not have raised ribs. I think the Cordobas also have a raised rib, but those are not in production anymore. This gun's actually not even in production anymore. Just happened to find it for sale in a gun shop. Been sitting in there since 2015. So, besides the point, we'll see what she does. Beautiful gun. I really hope I don't drop it or something. You know, I really hope that I don't break it. You know, I may get it dirty, whatever. If I get it dirty, I'll clean it. But with this carbon fiber rib and everything, I just hope I don't drop it. But I cannot wait to try to bust some doves with this thing. I cannot wait to carry this in the squirrel woods. I mean, literally. I mean, you could one-hand this thing all day long, alright? Just like the other Benellis in the last video. Has the center bead, okay? If you're a person that's, you know, you can get your hands on one of these. Like I said, they don't make these anymore. This one was just stock that had been sitting there. Got a little deal on it. The wife okayed it, so we bought it. So Benelli Legacy 28 gauge. Cannot wait to use it. I'm sure it'll be just fine. I have the Benelli Legacy in a 20 gauge. It's a beautiful gun. It works great. But I can tell you it's not as smooth and not as comfortable to shoot as that M2, like I said in the last video. So 28 gauge is a real thing. There's plenty ammo options out there. Like I said, we've got 1,300 feet a second 6-shot. You can get Fiocchi golden pheasants that are 7/8 ounce of a load, 1,300 feet a second. You can get them in 5s, 6, 7.5s, and I think 8s, but those are 7/8 ounce and still 1,300 feet a second. So if you remember, this 20 gauge is also 7/8 of an ounce, and a lot of your 20 gauge 7/8 of an ounce. Now you got some 1 ounce stuff, but a lot of it's going to be 7/8 of an ounce. All right, like a lot of the Fiocchi ammo, a lot of the 28 gauge ammo, 3/4 of an ounce. All right, so your double A's, you know, your Winchester double A's, so on and so forth, it's going to typically be, it's all going to be 3/4 of an ounce, 1,300 feet a second. These are 1,200 feet a second. We're going to give it a shot. I found a really good price on these, so I went ahead and bought a case of each. But I'm looking forward to it. Plays, doves. Maybe we go to on a quail hunt or two in Mississippi this fall, winter, spring. Maybe that's going to happen. Maybe even we find some 28 gauge TSS and see if we can put another fan on the wall from old turkey with 28 gauge. We'll see what happens. But anyway, 28 gauge does exist. It's awesome. If you're thinking about it, just go ahead and get it. It's got plenty of knockdown. You've got plenty enough range. Now, obviously, if you hunt in a situation where, you know, you ducks, geese, big ducks, geese, and you're shooting, you know, 30 yards is the closest you'll shoot, you know, hey, look, you might not want to carry a 28 gauge right out there. But if you're hunting over decoying birds, and you know all your shots, or if you're in a little pothole in timber or whatever, and you know your farthest shot's going to be 30 yards, man, grab you some bismuth, go out there and bust them, because I bet you it'll work just fine. And I'm going to have a video up for teal season with the 28 gauge, and we're going to see what happens. Alright, so thank you for watching Murphy's Law Outdoors. I'm David. We'll see you next time. Bye.